All right, so for this discussion, we're on into adulthood and kind of talking about this so-called midlife crisis we're always hearing about. I want to kick off this discussion by kind of going over the interviews I did. I interviewed my mom and her best friend Lori. They were having a sleepover. It kind of worked out perfect. They passed the phone off and answered my questions. So when I asked my mom if she is where she thought she would be at her age, she said that she is. She's happy. She has two daughters, a grandson. She's perfectly happy. When I asked her about her fears, she said she has a fear of losing her mind, more as it pertains to memory loss, because she's been struggling a lot with her memory. She also has a fear of losing her mother to death, or even having to potentially become a caregiver to her mother. When I asked her about changes in appearance, she said she hates them. Everything's sagging. When I asked her about challenges in adulthood, she said that she worries a lot about injuries because recovery is more difficult the older that you get. She recently broke her ankle and she had to do like a bunch of extensive physical therapy just so that she could make sure she would be on the right path physically for the rest of her life. As far as like the most rewarding things about this stage in her life, she said that she's really confident in her friends, her choices, and she really just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And I loved that answer so much. And to me, this really does contradict the typical idea of the midlife crisis, but like we'll get more into that later with the discussion. So I asked her what her best age will be, and she actually kind of said that like right now will be her best age because she's on her way to retirement, and that means she'll have her freedom to do what she wants, like just in exchange for all the hard work she's put in over her life. So overall, she seems to be having a pretty positive experience. So when I talked to her friend Lori, I'm not really going to go through the questions, but I want to talk about the similarities between her and my mother's answers and then the differences. So the similarities were they both described having struggles with health concerns and insecurities with their appearance. Both of them agreed that the most rewarding part of late adulthood was watching their children grow up to be amazing people. Oh, that's sweet. So the main differences is my mom was satisfied in her current stage because of her kids and her financial stability and her potential for retirement. Her best friend Lori said that she was unsatisfied. She was living paycheck to paycheck, working hard with no contingency plan. And that was when I kind of asked her when I asked Lori if she was where she thought she would be. That was her answer. So the results really seemed less dependent on age and more related to the measures that were taken earlier in life to create stability and comfort in late adulthood. That's kind of my conclusion from the interviews, and I feel that this is consistent with the source material we were given, specifically the TED Talk titled Midlife Crisis Needs a Rebrand. The speaker in the TED Talk states that the true definition of a midlife crisis is a dip in a person's satisfaction and self-confidence that happens about midway through life expectancy. And he kind of explains that these dips occur during many phases of our lives, and that a midway point is honestly relative and can be perceived at any point in a person's life. The big takeaway here is that the meaning of midlife crisis has been warped, and people understand a midlife crisis to not only be an age-specific experience, excuse me, during late adulthood, but an actual crisis as well. Like, I may be having a bigger midlife crisis at 29 than my mom is at 59. You know, she seems highly satisfied with her life. But yeah, dips in these things, they're normal, they're fluid, and they can be highly reflective periods of time. So I really enjoyed this discussion. It actually was very insightful. I was honestly not expecting the answers to be so overwhelmingly positive. Even from my mom's best friend, who was less satisfied, she still had a lot of really good things to say about just this stage of life. A big theme was just really not giving a fuck anymore, and I think that's really cool, because I wish I could give a fuck a little bit less sometimes. All right, thank you.